Hey everybody, Ryan here with Ray's latest, and today I want to talk about Shane McClanahan getting his first start, and I think it was like 963 days. It's been since 2023 that he has last pitched for the Rays and or pitched for anybody for per se. It's been a long time coming. I was just excited to see him be able to get back on the mound for the first time in a while in a meaningful actual game. And I think from what I saw from his performance, obviously he carried a no-hitter into the fifth inning. He did end up giving up 3 runs there in that fifth inning and kind of cut his day short. But I think I was able to catch his outing when I watched the game. The first inning looked fantastic. I mean, I think it was 12 pitches, 10 of them were for strikes, and the one one of them that wasn't called a strike was, I think the whole ball was in the on the TV zone. So it was one of those where they that was probably an easy challenge that they could have got overturned if they wanted to, but it's the first inning and a Ronda homered in the first, so you already have 1-0. There's not really a point, no stressful situation, nobody's on base. I understand. That pitch didn't matter. Ended up getting out of the first 1-2-3 with a strikeout on the last guy. His stuff looked good. His in the first inning, he was up to 97.1. Arguably, the changeup didn't have as much arm side tail to it as his changeup normally does. It's kind of his changeup kind of, to me, just from my opinion, originally before injuries and everything like that, was had more of a right-handed slider look to it. It was kind of one of more of those tail out instead of down pitches. But his changeups today, I don't know if he was throwing one of those kick changes that they got now where it just kills all the spin. I didn't really get a good look at the grip, but the ball was just falling out of the air on his changeup, and he was locating it well in those first innings. And I think that the off speed looked good. The fastball had some life to it, had a little bit of vertical break on it, a little bit of arm side run, which is kind of what you want, that kind of up and away from that lefty perspective, obviously. So I think he looked great for the first 4 innings. The fifth inning, he did kind of run into that classic Shane McClanahan look, where it was the stuff's still kind of there, but the ball's sprayed a little bit all over the zone. And his first couple of innings, he looked kind of not necessarily, I would say, out of character, but usually Shane's a little sporadic in what they typically call effectively wild, where he's kind of fastball kind of gets away from him a little bit, kind of finishes up. Mechanics aren't necessarily fully connected one with one another, and you see pitches kind of just go pop out of the hand, spray around a little bit. The first innings today, he looked great from a command perspective. He ended up in the game with 3 walks, 2 of those coming in that fifth inning, and that's where you're going to get beat. Obviously, when you have the stuff that he has, it's going to be kind of hard to hit. He only gave up 2 hits today in 4 2/3, 2 earned runs, only 4 Ks and 3 walks. Granted, he's on a pitch count, so 79 pitches, but 50 strikes out of 79 pitches. It's not horrible, but that most of that command problem came from that fifth inning. So I think that it's mainly contributed to the fact that he is fresh off of rehab and he hasn't pitched in a real game in 900 days. So I think that obviously the tax that takes on the body, sitting down, getting up, sitting down, getting up, sitting down, getting up, and continuous thing of that throughout a game, his body is probably just tired, or that's where you lose a little bit of mechanics, you lose a little bit of your control, you lose a little bit of your velocity. That's where you start kind of seeing people get hit around a little bit. So I don't think there's nothing really too concerning. I think the first 4 innings were fantastic from him. Obviously, hitless through 4. That fifth inning was just what got him there, and I think that's just going to come from time, just getting his body back into the kind of routine of being able to sit down and get back up and then sit back down and get back up and just keep going back out there and keeping the same amount of conditioning and body and arm fatigue at a minimum. And I think that that's just gonna, like I said, just gonna come with time. But I think he looked great. I mean, obviously we didn't win today. Aranda hit a homer in the first. Fortes, which I'm going to talk about here in a second, which I'm kind of very excited about him. I've been really high on him all spring. Hit another homer as well. But kind of where the disconnect came, obviously we went down 3-2 in that inning with McClanahan getting pulled for Sulser. Sulser went one and a third, gave up four hits, two earned with one homer, 31 pitches, 21 strikes. Not really where you want him to be from a strike perspective. 21 strikes, 10 balls. That gets you around, gets you like 68, 69, 70% range, which is not terrible, but you want to see less hits with that. And what I mean by that is your goal. I know in college for us, our pitching staff and pitching coaches harped on 64% strikes is kind of that gold standard. If you can be at 64% or above, you'll be perfectly fine. And anywhere below that is where you start getting to that interesting territory, like we saw with Gomez today. Went two innings, one hit, one run, which that run being a homer, also had two walks, but he had 30 pitches, 16 strikes. So he's right above 50% there. And that's where you start getting into a little bit of trouble because that's where you find those two walks come from. And when you're pitching behind guys, when you start out 1-0, 2-0, 3-1, 3-0, you kind of have to make more intensive pitches on just throwing it for a strike to not walk him. And that's where you start giving up the fastballs that are more middle than they should be. And that's when you start getting in trouble. That's where you start getting loud contact. That's where you start giving up homers. So kind of just keeping the strike range up. Overall today, we were 140 pitches through 87 strikes. So just by my brief instant calculations, that's around kind of that 65% range, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, just based off instant calculations. I think that that's a good range to be in, but I do think Sulser kind of getting hit around a little bit is a little interesting to me because he kind of has his last outing as well. Two innings, two hits, one earned, one walk against the Cardinals, and he kind of just carried that over with him to Milwaukee. So I think just being able to get different pitchers in different situations is kind of what I'm intrigued to see. But what I've seen from Sulser so far is not what it should be. And I think that maybe different options, granted, it's only been two games, but different options kind of from Kevin Cash in those situations could be a little more intriguing to me personally. But the next thing I want to talk about, Nick Fortes obviously continues to impress. He went 1 for 4 today, with that one hit being the solo homer. His batting average on the spring is the 375 now with a 625 slugging. He's looked great. I mean, it's his first homer of the year, but he's 5 for 12 on the season, three RBIs with a walk, and has only struck out one time. That's the key for me is the catching position for the Rays has been really questionable over the past couple seasons, like I've harped on multitude of times. I don't care if he hits 250. If he just does not strike out and gets productive outs, he's going to be an everyday staple in the lineup. If you're getting out but you're hitting sac flies, if you're getting out but moving runners over, that's way better than striking out 40% of the time or 35% of the time, which is what we've seen from our catching staff over the past couple of years. So I think that he's kind of the answer for us right now behind the plate. And I think he's been playing a pretty good backstop. I have not seen any crazy defensive mishaps, or I don't think I've actually seen any mishaps behind the plate. So I think he's kind of performing at where he needs to be, and I'm really excited to kind of see if he can continue this. Obviously, the average is going to drop down a little bit throughout the season. 375 is pretty much unheard of these days, unless you're Luis Arias, but pitchers have kind of solved him over the past year and a half, I would say. But Yandy went 0 for 4 today, which brings his average down on the season to a whopping 458. He leads the big leagues in hits. he's just produces every single year. You can't you can't go wrong with that guy, and I'm really excited to kind of see him throughout the rest of the year. Rhonda hit the homer in the first inning today. Solo shot. Junior had a hit today as well, and he walked, which I think he might end up. I would say that he might end up leading the league at the end of the year in walks, but I think that this lineup is slightly better than a lot of people were thinking. And we kind of saw that in the St. Louis series where the pitchers were not throwing to Junior at all. They were just completely pitching around him just to get to the other guys. But when Ben Williamson's hitting 313, Fortes is hitting 375, Chandler Simpson's hitting 444, Aranda's hitting 350, Yandy's hitting 458, Junior himself is hitting 294, Fraley's hitting 300. Granted, it's only game five, but I think pitching staffs are going to start seeing that, and not even mention DeLuca didn't even play tonight, and he's hitting 500. It's, I think this lineup is a lot better than what everybody expected. And granted, like I said, it's game five. We did play the Cardinals, who have a pretty bad pitching staff, but just over the games against the Brewers, I've been impressed with the lineup. I mean, Simpson went 2 for 3 today. Fortes hit a homer. Aranda hit a homer. Fraley went 2 for 4. The the lineup's there, and I think that it's going to be a lot more surprising than what we originally suspected. And I think pitching staffs are going to start slowly seeing that. Is that the lineup from top to bottom, minus Carson Williams and Cedric Mullins, is going to be kind of interesting to see. And I'm loving what I'm seeing out of Ben Williamson. I think he might kind of take over if Gavin Lux does not perform when he gets back. I don't necessarily think that that's one of those mainstays in the lineup. And at that point, what's to moving Ben Williamson over to short? Because Carson Williams is just not doing what he needs to be doing. And I think it was too early for him to get called up in the first place. I think everybody kind of knew that, but he kind of just got forced into that situation where he didn't really have any options for him there. But I wouldn't. I mean, if Taylor Walls can do what he did this spring, I would be so happy to see that because I didn't necessarily get the final stats from Taylor Walls in spring, but I wouldn't. I think he hit around the 350 mark. The last time I checked it, but he was in the 400s. And so seeing what I saw from him this spring, granted it was in a limited capacity, I'm excited to see that. Cedric Mullins is hitting .056 this spring. He's got one hit. It's not impressive. And I'm interested to kind of see how they go about that, especially with Fraley and DeLuca kind of doing what they're doing right now. So I wouldn't be necessarily surprised to see either DeLuca or Simpson slide over to center field at some point and kind of just get Mullins back into shape on the bench and kind of just getting him trained in that way, or maybe even let's send down to AAA at some point. And I don't want to overreact. It's only game five, but and we are paying him a lot of money in raise standards, but it's just not cutting it. And so I'm interested to kind of see what they do with that and kind of how they go about that. And if he continues to do what he's doing, I don't think his leash is going to be too long in that percent. But you guys let me know what you guys think about the game today and what you guys think about McClanahan's first start in about, I don't know, 1,000 days. And then also what you think about how Nick Fortes has looked behind the plate this year and at the plate. You guys let me know what you guys think, and you guys have a good one.